Hi, I'm Frédéric Torres, and I'm going to demo a software called DrumsLoopMe that I wrote in 1996 in Delphi 32-bit. I use the software for my own music. I'm not sure what the source code is, but I still have the install and it works on Windows XP in 2010. DrumsLoopMe is a web file editor specialized in editing live drum samples. If you do not have a real drummer available, using live sample is a much better solution than drums machines, but it requires some editing. That is why I wrote the software. For this demo, I'm going to use sample from the CD New York Drums Works. I picked the drummer Tom Price. I already extracted the tracks from the CD and created some loops and cleaned some drums breaks. I have two main loops. The first one and the second one. Let's start by drag and dropping the first one and press mix to listen to the result. Now I want to add a cymbal. Drag and drop the file and turn down the volume for now because it's going to be very loud. Oof, that's really too loud. Let's say we only want to use 15% of the volume. That's great. Now let's listen in loop mode. Alright, let's add a new measure and drag and drop the second loop. This loop does not have a snare drum at the end. Let's add the missing snare drum. Let's assign the snare drums at step 13. Oops. Have to clear that. Let's listen now in loop mode. Now I can play and add another snare drum in step 12. Let's hear it. Oof. A drummer will not play something like this. Let's change the volume. The first one will be 25%. That's better. Let's add a new snare drums in step 15 and play with the volume to add feeling. That's good. Let's have fun. Let's add a cymbal in step 15. We're gonna set the volume to 20%. Let's try in loop mode. That's nice. Now let's add a measure 3. And copy measure 1 to measure 3. Done. Now let's add a measure 4 and drag and drop the second loop. Alright, let's hear the whole thing. Oh, we gotta fix this. Now let's hear the whole thing in loop mode. We need to add something at the end of the fourth measure. Let's try a break. Let's try this one. I like it. Let's try it. Set the volume to 75 and let's hear it. Ooh, the bass drum of the first loop are interfering. Let's stop that. Let's try now. Better. Now let's try the whole thing in loop mode. We just scratched the surface of what DrumsLoopMe can do with sample. It's possible to trigger any sample, but also to trigger any part in the sample based on tempo, so we can improve reusability of the loop. Possibilities are almost endless, like a real drummer I wish I was. And now, here's a little piece of music of mine where I use DrumsLoopMe.